All right, welcome to WarpZone. So we've got a new squad here this week, changing it up a little bit. I'm Phil, the Be Real, senior real-time editor here at K-Gun. Caleb.
Hey, how's it going? Caleb Fernandez here.
All right, and John.
John Marrero, morning producer for K-Gun. Super excited to be here with you lads.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking games, movies, and TV. So I'm very amped up about Winning Time. Winning Time seems like it's the talk of the entertainment world.
I don't care who you are.
The story of the 1980s LA Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. This is HBO Max. It's such a fun show. It's Adam McKay, just Oscar nominated for Don't Look Up. He's been there a bunch of times, but this is it's creative narrative. He does take a lot of liberties, and that's what's getting him in trouble right now. You've got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar calling him out, saying the show is not only wrong but boring. Jerry West isn't happy with the way he's coming across in this one. But I'm loving it. This is just such a fun show, such a great show. If you're a basketball fan at all, even if you're not, this is just one to watch. So, what's holding? I know you guys probably haven't seen it yet, but what's holding you back, or what do you think you might watch it? John, first of all, what do you think, man? Is this a show for you?
It's definitely a show for me. With all streaming services, it kind of seems like right now, that I like to wait until everything's out, except for things like Moon Knight. But when it comes to Winning Time, I'm going to wait till all the episodes are out so I can just binge it straight through. But it seems like it's falling victim to the same issues that Bohemian Rhapsody fell on, where they're taking a lot of liberties, and instead of it being a fun, entertaining show, it's facing a lot of backlash right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of backlash. What are you hearing about it, Caleb? Are you on the Winning Time train? Is this your type of show, or are you holding off?
It looks like a Boogie Nights, but for the Lakers. That's my perspective of it.
Yeah, absolutely what it is.
But it seems interesting. I would try watching an episode or two, and I'm not too crazy into sports in general, but it caught my attention, just the aesthetic.
Yeah, you don't even have to. You don't have to like sports. That's definitely, it bridges that divide. It's just like, this is all about entertainment. It's all about ego. Like, for instance, I convinced Sean Nugent, who's usually on WarpZone, to watch this. He hates all sports. So and he likes the show. We talk about this every week. Sean and I talk about this in 90 Day Fiance. Those are our two go-tos. But this is just such a fun show. To me, it's the best show on TV right now. But yeah, a lot of backlash. I think it's hitting some sore spots because it is ruthless with the way it portrays these very famous people like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They don't hold back at all. And a lot of it, there is some made up stuff. There's some fast and loose stuff with the truth, but then there's some stuff that's just spot on. For instance, last night's episode shows Dr. J just dunking mercilessly on Kareem in the All-Star game. And it's almost like a response to me. It's like they saw the article that he wrote, just trashing the show, calling it boring. And this isn't what happened, because this is all planned far in advance. But it's just funny that the very next week, one of the focal points is just Kareem just getting posterized, annihilated. And this is a real thing. I had never heard of this done. This is a little bit before my time. 1980, I was 2 years old at this time. But just to see on YouTube, that's exactly what happened. So some things are very truthful. But then you've heard some other things that just aren't as truthful. For instance, Jeannie Buss, who ended up taking a lot of control of the Lakers. She's kind of like a daddy's girl, fresh out of college. I guess that wasn't really the case. She kind of had some other business background before she came to help with the Lakers. But I don't know. To me, that stuff doesn't really detract from the fun of it. But you did mention Moon Knight. Maybe we can move on to that one next, John, because I'm real big into Moon Knight. I'm liking it more and more as we go. Well, what's your take on Moon Knight so far, John?
Oh, I love it. First off, I feel like this is the first show I've ever seen, or first anything Hollywood that I've ever seen, where an American actor is doing a British accent and doing it pretty well. Normally it's the other way. But Oscar Isaac is doing such a good job bouncing between Steven and Mark. And I'll be honest with you, I did not read the comic books, but I'm so excited to see what direction this show's going because it seems like the first 2 episodes I knew where it was going, and then especially after the last episode where you like get to the end. I don't know if we're really trying to do spoilers or anything like that, but when you get to the end and you see like everything is just turned upside down, it's so exciting right now, in my opinion, to be an MCU fan because it seems like they're going in a direction where a lot of things can go any way and you have no idea where they're going with it, and it just makes it all that much more fun.
Yeah, what about you, Caleb? Do you have any impressions? Have you seen any Moon Knight? Do you care about it at all? Like, what's your take so far?
Is that a TV series?
Yeah, it's Disney Plus. It's like basically it's like the new Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. Not all these MCU shows have been good. Like, there's been some bad ones. Like the Hawkeye one, I couldn't stand. Like, I watched it all, but it was like homework. It was so boring. Same with the one a couple shows before that, which was the Captain America spinoff, which was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. To me, like, just so dull. But Moon Knight's picking it back up. And you're right, John, the Oscar Isaac lead performance, just switching back from the American and British accent, is so jarring. It's hilarious every time. Because what's going on here is he's got, I wouldn't know if you call it possessed, but he's got 2 different personas inside his head. He's got Moon Knight, this mercenary hero, and he's got his normal self, who's kind of the opposite, like just like a meek, like kind of like a history nerd. And he goes back and forth of as far as controlling this body. So like the other weird thing that goes on in the show, he gets zapped like quantum leap style in between all these various settings, and they haven't explained that very well yet. I don't know if we're going to get a good explanation, but it's always at the worst time, always the weirdest switch ups. But you never know what's coming from Moon Knight. It's just fun. It's like kind of like strange. I had never heard of this character, just like you, John. Absolutely never read a comic book about Moon Knight, but I'm glad to have him involved in the crew, and we'll see what they do with it. But yeah, like I'm very impressed so far. And it's also Oscar Isaac. He had been Poe Dameron, so he's making his rounds in the Disney world, making those different paychecks there. So what would you say to get Caleb to watch this if you had to pitch it to him?
If I had to pitch it, I would probably say it's kind of out there. It's a little outside the idea of like a Disney or Marvel. Yeah, like even if we talk about Star Wars, once Disney took over, you saw them kind of shy away from certain things that maybe could have made the sequel trilogy a little bit better. With this, it seems like Disney kind of backed off a little bit. It's a little bit more out there. It's a little bit more violent, I would say. And I think that if you're on TikTok, Caleb, you're going to get a lot more idea of like what people are doing when you see them do like a lot of viral TikToks where, what is it? A Man Without Love. I think that's the name of the song. Once you start seeing those TikToks everywhere, it'll start to make sense a lot more. So it'll also keep you, on your toes with pop culture. That's another big sell.
Moonlight, right?
No, Moon Knight.
Oh, Moonshine?
Night. Caleb, it's too early to be talking about moonshine.
Okay, Moonlight.
Night.
Oh, Moon Knight.
Yeah, like medieval times.
Nighttime. Okay.
Or
I will explore Moon Knight. I have not yet. I only use TikTok for work. Since I use social media all day for work, I try to not when I go home. And I don't have a Netflix account. I don't have a Disney Plus account. Disney. I don't have a Hulu account. I don't have any of them. And I think that Disney Plus you can watch with for a week free, can't you? Or like a month?
Yeah, you can do it there's a lot of trials, man. That's what you should do. Just do trial after trial, just don't ever pay. Just keep on going that way.
No,
just
numbers. And the best time to do that trial though is like John mentioned earlier, after all the episodes have come out, so you can just binge them all. Like that's what HBO Max is doing with Winning Time. Same deal with Moon Knight. It's a week by week, so don't do it yet. Just wait until they're all out, and then just boom, get through them in a day. And then you'll be sending out all these TikToks on your own time, man. You're gonna break your own policy. You'll be doing Moon Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
like
I'm right there with you, Caleb. I don't use TikTok at all. Not for pleasure. I just use it for work purposes. Yeah.
I don't believe him. It's definitely false. All right. So like we're on Marvel just a little bit still. Morbius. Have you seen it, John? Are you going to see it? If not, what's keeping you away?
I haven't seen it. After your review, I did really consider going to see it. From what I've heard about the movie, it's kind of like a worse version of Venom, which me personally, I'm a big Venom guy. One, because he's my favorite comic book character ever, and two, because I'm a big Tom Hardy guy. But what's keeping me away, one, is my disdain for Jared Leto. Two, is a lot of people are saying it's not worth the time. So I'm thinking about just waiting until I can just watch it at home for free.
Yeah, you're probably good to do that. I actually went and saw it a second time this weekend, which is odd for a movie that I disliked, but it does happen when like usually I just want to kind of like let my kids see it. So I took my kids to see it. And the second time was much more enjoyable. I still don't like the movie, but it's not awful. Like Morbius to me is getting trashed by everyone. Like people are calling it awful, like Ghost Rider level. It's not a horrible movie by any stretch. And that's maybe one of its greatest faults is that you can't make a lot of fun of it. People just kind of mock it just from the Jared Leto-ness of it. But no, it's not a bad movie. And I'm glad the character's being introduced. So if you like Venom, like John, there's more world building in that universe. You're going to see some more Morbius as we move on with that thread involving Spidey and Venom. There's some kind of awful post-credit scenes. Have you at least seen those, John, or no?
Well, I know what they're setting up, which I don't understand how they're going to go from like a Sony verse and then take that and put it into the MCU, which clearly with the post-credit scene, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, there's all sorts of craziness coming. Like it's going to start next month with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. There's going to be all sorts of like multiverse hopping. Like if you're a big fan, I know you saw some What If like I did, John. There's a lot of that multiverse being set up in the Disney Plus series What If. So we'll see how it goes. Morbius isn't a great film by any stretch, but like it's worth seeing, probably worth waiting for. Don't see it twice in the theaters like I did by any means. See it at home when you can pause it, when you can just kind of like make fun of it. It's not a horrible film, but it does bring in a new character like Moon Knight, and we've got the introduction of Moon Knight from that series. Now we're getting Morbius to play with. So a lot of new people in the really rogues gallery of Spider-Man coming into this, because Morbius is definitely more of a bad guy if you like the comics at all. Definitely not a good guy, but this movie kind of shows how he starts from a place of good intentions, heads to that dark side, and that's the best part of this film. It's just he's this ruthless vampire by the end. Not much of a spoiler alert here, because everybody who knows Morbius knows what he's going to become. So hopefully he's something that maybe will be more than the sum of his parts from his origin here.
I think something that you said, Phil, that kind of sticks out, and this seems to be a trend with strictly Sony movies, not so much like MCU Sony movies, but if you look at the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, if you look at Venom, both 1 and 2, they kind of toe the line of either being dreadfully hysterically bad and close to being a really good movie. So you really have nothing, like you don't have anything to say about it. Like you said, like what's enticing someone to go see it in the theaters when you're just like, it's an all right movie. You can't make fun of it. You can't be like, oh, it's so bad that you definitely want to go see it. Or it's so good that you have to go see it. They're stuck in that limbo. Very similar to like DC in a lot of their movies as well, which is going to be tough for Sony.
Yeah, that's the absolute worst spot to be in for a movie. But go ahead, Caleb.
Is Morbius this is like an original character? It's not a comic book. It hasn't.
He's comic book. Oh yeah,
he's
this bad guy, weird guy, like anti-hero. He's a living vampire, so he's not dead, but he's got to drink blood, and he does it a lot. That's what the man's all about. So
was he bit by a vampire, or is this some type of like the bat?
No,
bit him?
He makes himself a vampire because he has got a blood disorder. So he goes and gets vampire bat DNA, splices it with his own, as you do, and then there he goes.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't do that? So he's also a genius. He like fixes things with like springs in pens. Like he's like MacGyver kind of like a MacGyver
So
vampire.
it kind of blends with the Marvel universe of like something genetic happened or like something. Yeah,
And
yes.
kudos to Morbius for being one of the few people who don't get their powers from straight up radiation. He does it his own way. So he beats his own path.
Is
All
he
right?
seeking immortal life?
He just wants to live. He doesn't want to be an immortal. And
Oh,
he's
because he has a
anything.
disease.
Yeah, he's not immoral. He's got to keep on feeding. Like he can die very very easily. So yeah, he's fragile. He's like a fragile soul. He's very emo too. Very goth, very emo. He's gonna appeal to a certain crowd. Crowd of
He looks
teenagers.
like that.
Sure. Definitely. He's probably, and there's so many bats in this movie that it came out around the same time as the Batman, not too far after. So it's kind of interesting dichotomy. A really good Batman movie, very mediocre Morbius. But anyway, I want to talk to you guys about Halo. Do you guys have any background? Have you played Halo? Like those games at all? Are you into the series? Because I'm I'm not a huge fan of the Halo games. To me, I think they're past their prime. To me, talking about Halo as a game franchise shows like that you come from like 25 years ago, which I was into Halo at the time. I'm over it. Like, don't need to play Halo a lot in my life anymore. But the series is doing it for me. It's getting trashed a lot. I'm going to be a defender of Halo. I'm going to coming out. I got its back. It's great visuals. Looks great. It looks just like the game would look in real life.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Master Chief's a boring, dull character in the games, and I would never even read a Halo book. There's been books and other things about this. Like, to me, that's almost comical. But they've taken this franchise and they've made it into something viable as an entertainment medium, not just a game thing. And it's hard to do. You don't see games that become good movies or TV shows very often. I mean, Uncharted a couple months ago, a joke. I didn't even see it yet. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to probably hate it. But no one liked Uncharted, and a lot of people aren't liking Halo either. But to me, it's worth a little look. It's actually making Halo something interesting as far as storytelling goes, which I didn't think was possible. But John, what do you think? Are you going to watch this? Are you avoiding it? What are you hearing?
So I definitely suffer from the same thing as Caleb, where I don't have Paramount Plus, so I haven't been able to watch it. But from what I've heard through EJ, who's normally on here, she loves it because it's a different take on the character, or on all the characters, and a different take on Halo. I mean, it's funny because the first movie I saw after the pandemic, or when theaters started to open up again, was Mortal Kombat. And that's another, for the most part, video game movies aren't good. And video games making their way into TV shows as well aren't good. But from what I've heard, from what I've seen, as far as clips on Twitter, it seems to be a different take on the character. It seems to have a lot of confrontation, a lot of violence, which I can obviously see because the game itself is pretty violent. But I like the idea of trying to throw something new, throw something at the wall, see if it sticks.
Yeah, it's sticking for me so far. We're like 5 episodes in, doing it well. What do you think, Caleb? Are you feeling this one at all? Or are you thinking you're gonna avoid it and just move on with life?
I really agree with what you're saying as you were describing it. I can't confirm that I would watch it, but it makes me want to watch it because I did play Halo back before Xbox 360, original Xbox, and I liked the visuals, I liked the story. This looks like exactly what you said. Like, if you took that and then put it into a world, what I hate about most video game to movie franchises is they just completely recreate it, and it's usually not recreated best. It usually makes you just hope and wish that they would have stuck with the original vision and just carry that out. And this looks like that's literally, I was looking at the weapons. I forgot what it was called, but that thing, the bad guys
needle gun.
Yeah, that thing. That looks exactly like if they just made it for the screen.
Yeah, I can't believe it makes you jealous watching these people, because this is the ultimate Halo cosplay. They have this armor, they've got these guns, it's nailing it. But like you talked about, Caleb, about maybe a game that's irrelevant now becoming relevant as a TV series. I think we're seeing the same thing with Sonic. To me, no one plays Sonic. No one's even touched it. a lot of the Sonic games were truly awful, just drove people away from ever touching them. But Sonic 1, a lot better than people thought it would be. Sonic 2, to me, a lot better than Sonic 1. I'm totally on the Sonic train now. It's a fun movie. What do you guys think about Sonic these days? How's he looking to you guys?
Personally, I don't think there's anything funnier than the idea of Jim Carrey's last role in Hollywood being Dr. Robotnik. The fact that it came out and he's like, yeah, I'm going to step away for a little bit. It just makes me laugh so hard that that's a slight possibility right now that his last role ever as a movie, as an actor, is gonna be Dr. Robotnik. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so wrong, but so right, because why not? If you're Jim Carrey,
Yeah, exactly.
Why not go out on that? What do you think, Caleb? What do you think of this Sonic Renaissance?
Okay, this is how I'm the boomer at heart. I didn't even know that Sonic was being made into a film or had been made into a film
we got two now.
multiple times. But you know what? I want to see that. It makes me. I mean, we didn't even watch a trailer, but I'm like, oh, is it live action, but he's 3D animated? Is it all 3D?
That's exactly what it is. No, it's live action, but he's real. Like Jim Carrey, he's not live action, but he's more cartoon than anything else, though. Because Jim Carrey's letting it flow, man. Letting it flow is robotic.
Okay, that makes me kind of want to see it. That makes me want to get out there and see, so I can give an actual good review.
It's also good to see Jim Carrey get back to that like flamboyant characters that he played early on in his heyday. I mean, Ben Schwartz might be one of my favorite people in all of like Hollywood. Like even for Parks and Rec, when he plays John Ralphio, that might be the best character in all of TV. I don't know if that's too hot of a take right now, but
no, it's
I'm
not.
feeling
You're good. You're good there. Yeah, I feel it. Yeah. And Ben Schwartz, for the Calebs of the world, he's in Sonic. He's like the guy, but it takes a little bit of his back. Maybe we, or he's the voice of Sonic, correct?
Yeah, he's the voice of Sonic.
He's the voice, like really good voice work there. And what are you guys watching? Like we're running out of time, but like, what do you guys want people to watch that you guys are into right now before we head out?
Well, real quick, I just want to say, you brought up Halo, and I want video games to get back to like the video games that I think about as like the best games I've ever played are Halo 3 until my Xbox got the Red Ring of Death. Rest in peace to that. Call of Duty 3 on PlayStation 3, like games where you just turn on your console, play single player. You don't need any DLCs. You don't need to hop online. You just turn on your game. You play for hours, and before you know it, it's nighttime or the next morning or whatever it is. I miss those times. I need us to get back to that.
Yeah, and now John's the boomer, and so am I, obviously, because I'm totally with you there, man. There's something to be said for those single player experiences. What about you, Caleb?
Exactly. I used to game, and I used to do like I'm trying to think, Legend of Dragoon, like Tomb Raider, just a lot of old PS1 and old school like Xbox and PS2. But once PS3 started coming out, that's when the game started changing, and all these like, I mean, I'm a GTA fan all the way. Vice City is my favorite of all time. And I love that because you were in this world, but you were also playing by yourself. You weren't forced to go online and have to team up with people. And not that that's bad. I appreciate that that's an option, but I would love for us to return to that OG, like, the best of that game era.
It's WarpZone unanimity there. We all want those. We all want those experiences. But anyone else have anything to recommend before we part ways here?
I know that it's an old show, but in June, the last season of Peaky Blinders is coming to Netflix. So if you haven't seen, I believe there's 5 seasons. If you haven't seen the first 5 seasons of Peaky Blinders, catch up on it. It is probably my favorite show made in the last decade.
I never heard such a passionate plea for Peaky Blinders, man. I mean, it might well convince me to watch that.
Exactly.
What have you got, Caleb? What have you got
right
for
there
us,
with
man?
you, Phil. I've been looking at Peaky Blinders just for over the past year, I've been seeing it. Like, I liked his haircut. That's what caught my attention. and I just like kind of looked over the storyline, and what you said, John, I might go out and binge Peaky Blinders, because I've been hearing that it's great, and I've seen all these fantastic reviews, and the aesthetic captures me too. Like, if I'm the reason for me the aesthetic is so important for a show is because that's what makes it believable. Like, you know, they're in that world and they need to have that. For me though, the latest TV show I've seen that caught my attention was The Morning Show, and I think it's just because I live it a little, and I've only been in this industry for a couple years, but I see it, and it's with Reese Witherspoon. I think she's been fantastic. You know, Sweet Home Alabama. What's it called? I'm blanking on the film. Walk the Line. There we go. You know, she's been great. I've never been a big fan of Jennifer Aniston, but because Reese Witherspoon, yeah.
That's a take. That is quite a take right there.
Because Reese Witherspoon was on there, it convinced me to watch it. I was like, okay, Reese Witherspoon, she's not just an actress. Most people don't know this, but she's got her own production company. You know, she's making hundreds of millions, and she's doing it the baller way. And so I thought, okay, if she attached her name to this should be good. And it is. I only binged, like, I stayed up to like 4 a.m. one night at a friend's house, and I've only seen like 5 episodes, but I wanted to keep watching it.
Yeah, morning show is great. I'm a sucker for journalism shows, and to me, it's like up there with Newsroom, with the movie Morning Glory with John. I hope you've seen Morning Glory, because that is your life. You got to see that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's a must. You should be required to watch it before you step inside these hollow doors. Okay, but yeah, like, it's fun. Yeah, Apple TV Plus, probably one of the best shows on there, along with Ted Lasso, which I know, John, you're a big Ted Lasso guy, right?
Massive.
Yeah, it's a great show. Maybe that's the best one, and then Newsroom, top 2, 3, I'd say. Great show too.
I'll check out Morning Show. We'll trade Peaky Blinders for Morning Show.
Yeah,
that works.
It's a good one.
There are only 2 seasons of Morning Show, though, so I got to binge 5 seasons of Peaky Blinders.
There's only 6 episodes a season, though.
That's the great thing about British TV. That's the very best thing about it.
Yeah.
Such short seasons. They only go as long as they need to be.
Yeah.
Okay, the only British show I've ever seen religiously was Misfits, so I hear you on that.
It's also not one of those shows where, you know, the old, it takes a while to get into. Like, people, that's like saying, it's an acquired taste. Oh, the show's not good to start. Just come out and say that. No, Peaky Blinders, it hits your, like, first episode right away, it hits you with action.
Nice.
And usually when a show starts out bad or not great, it doesn't ever become good. But one of the few examples I can think of that does is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Not great first season, but after that, everything else is legendary. Past that point, once Danny DeVito steps in. To me, that's the best show, funniest show ever created. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Definitely is the funniest show ever created. I will agree with you there.
I think, low-key, real quick, The Office was kind of like that. It was a little, like, slow and weird at first, and then it just became legendary after.
Yeah, the first season was pretty weak because they kind of copied the British series plot points awkwardly, but then it found its own voice as it went on. But then it lost everything to me once Steve Carell left. Steve Carell, it wasn't the same at that point. But really good show.
It's a hard disagree, but it's fine. We don't have time for that.
What? No, we do. Say it, man. Say your piece before we go.
Robert California is one of the best like supporting characters I've seen in television. Yeah, the Will Ferrell stuff was a little weird, and I didn't like when Nelly was in charge, but Robert California was awesome. How do you not like the Lizard King?
I do. I'm with you there. It's just, it wasn't quite as good, and there were some great episodes post Steve Carell. However, you didn't have that consistency. It was very up and down. And by the very end, when it was trying to get sentimental, I was just out of it. I was like, I could just die. It was like This Is Us. I need it to be over at that point. I won't go back and watch those seasons. Robert California is one of the best names ever, though. To me, it's like Commando being named John Matrix. That's a great name.
Yeah,
you can't do much better than that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Alrighty. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll leave it on that note. All right. See you next week, everybody.
See y'all then.
Bye.